You've heard of the infamous Roswell crash of 1947. Was it a weather balloon, an alien spaceship, or a hoax? Really depends on who you're asking.
But there was another equally mysterious crash much closer to home, just outside of Kingman, Arizona. According to investigators, more than one of these objects fell from the sky. The I-Team's George Knapp reports.
Spring 1953, the Atomic Energy Commission unleashed a series of massive explosions at the Nevada test site, codenamed Upshot Knothole. In the same time period, across the state line in Arizona, witnesses reported seeing a fleet of 8 flying saucer-type craft engaged in what looked like a dogfight. This is an artist's rendition of the event. According to historian and former museum curator Harry Drew, 3 of those unknown craft ended up on the ground near Kingman in May 1953.
So I didn't go into this with a preconceived notion that I would find the Kingman UFO anything. I never expected a second one. And I thought it was all done. And then the information about the third one on the 24th came to me.
Drew spent a decade poring through old records and newspaper accounts, tracking down original witnesses, and eventually stitched together a tale far more complicated than the granddaddy of UFO crash stories, Roswell. In his public lectures, Drew explains how the Kingman story first surfaced in 1973, years before Roswell became well known. A newspaper ran a story about a retired Nevada test site technician named Arthur Stansel, who said in May 1953 he and other team members were transported from Indian Springs, now Creech Air Base, to a remote desert location in Arizona to recover a secret experimental craft that had crashed. Stansel was a real person who believed the downed craft was far beyond any known technology. In his book, 7 Days in May, Harry Drew explains what became of the 3 craft that fell from the sky. One, he says, was obliterated when it smashed into the mountainside that towers above Kingman, setting off a fire. Another, resembling this artist's drawing, was found intact in a desert area miles outside of Kingman. And a third came down hard, clipped a rocky butte, then crashed adjacent to a small reservoir. Military security camped out around the site until the recovery team arrived and took the unknown craft back to a base in Nevada. According to Harry Drew and his investigations, this is the spot, the exact location where in May 1953 an unknown craft crashed to the earth after clipping that butte. Drew says he found proof that military teams camped around the exact crash site, including military-issued food canisters that dated back to 1953.
Water has come down through this area. It has exposed cans. They go down into the ground a ways, probably not much more than half a foot.
UFO writers have speculated that if the Kingman stories were true, then maybe the nuclear tests in Nevada caused the unknown craft to be knocked from the sky near Kingman. Drew says the real cause was a trio of immensely powerful experimental radar sites set up in and around the town.
The retrieval team arrived just in time on the 22nd of May when the Red Lake craft, flying down the flyway from north to south, ran through a corridor where high output, high energy, short pulse microwave radiation radar was installed and operating. Complaints locally about birds being killed, and I mean all kinds of things that happened.
The story is hotly debated even within UFO circles. Drew says he's been able to document not only the crashes, but how the craft were secretly transported to Nevada. And one of those machines was essentially intact, he says.
That craft didn't even have a scratch on it, okay? None, no damage at all.
George Knapp, 8 News Now.
Now, Harry Drew believes each of the 3 craft carried crew members. So what became of the bodies? We'll be putting more material on our website at mysterywire.com, along with additional links for more information.